and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Living with COVID. This is the show where we help you navigate on moving after coronavirus. What are the do's and the don'ts as India is in the phases of unlock? We have with us a panel of expert doctors who help us answer some of the questions on how to live with COVID. We have today with us Professor Dr. Abhay Kumar Sahu, HOD in Department of Endocrinology and IMS and SUM Hospital, Bhubaneswar. We have Dr. Neeta Deshpande, a consultant diabetologist and obesity physician, Belgaum Diabetes Center, Belgaum. We appreciate both of you, doctors, sparing your time for us. So thanks so much for joining us on the show today. Dr. Deshpande, I want to begin with you by asking about, how many patients are very apprehensive of visiting hospitals and clinics for checkups and physical examinations to the point. What is the kind of steps that you've taken to make consulting chambers safe for patients?
Our precautions start right before the patient actually comes to our clinic. What we tell them is that they should give their history to us on the phone in advance. We ask them to make the payments also online well in advance. All this is aimed at actually reducing their time spent in the hospital, so that is that much less exposure. So these are the two main things that we ask them to do, and we ask them to bring only one relative with them, and if possible, to come alone, if at all it is possible. The other thing, when they actually do come to the clinic, is we have a flu clinic where we take their temperature and we also do their pulse oximetry, and all our staff is well gowned, and they wear masks, they wear visors, and they wear gloves, and at any one time only one patient can come into the OPD, and the appointments are spaced in such a fashion that there is no crowding, and every time that a patient leaves the place, everything is sanitized, each and every chair is sanitized, whatever the patient has occupied. So these are some of the precautions we're taking to make it safe for the patient to come into the clinic and get examined and get treated.
All right, that's extremely crucial information for our viewers. Dr. Sahu, would you like to explain some of the protocols that you're following, especially while carrying out physical examinations?
Yeah, two things. Whenever the person comes to our clinic, at the sister place, and we do in the doctor's place. At the sister place, the sister who measures the blood pressure, every time over the blood pressure wrapper, we wrap a plastic wrap and we make the blood pressure measured. After that, we remove the wrap and again we use another new one, so that every time the blood pressure, there should be a new wrapper over the blood pressure cup first. Second thing, whenever patient comes to the sister, again they use a pulse oximeter to measure the oxygen saturation. After that, every doctor in the OPD chamber is having PPE kit along with mask, gloves, and also we use face shield. And we always keep the patients at least 6 feet away from our own desk where we are sitting. And every time we try to keep a non-touch technique. Usually we take whatever the discussion we do with the patient and we prescribe the medication, try to not to touch the patients. But if at all we require some sort of auscultation, we put the stethoscope, and every time we put the stethoscope, we again use some sort of sanitizers usually make the stethoscope also every time sanitized. So that is the additional precaution what we are taking inside the chamber, and usually majority time we try a non-touch technique so that the patient can be seen and can be prescribed, and usually the time gap is very less, so that very rapidly the patient can be disposed of from the OPD.
All right. Now, Dr. Deshpande, it has been seen that people are under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure at this moment due to the pandemic. There is, of course, the fear of contracting the virus. And, you're also fearful not just for yourself, but also for those near and dear. What is the kind of advice that you'd like to give people in terms of managing stress effectively?
Well, to manage stress effectively, the main thing is that the fear factor has to be removed. The fear factor has to be removed only by one means, and that is by getting the correct knowledge. My tagline in all my talks in this time is don't be scared, but be fully aware. Be aware of the do's, the don'ts, and diligently follow all of them. So if they have the correct knowledge, if they know what is happening, if they know the recovery rates, if they know where to go, whom to approach, at what time, so if all these things are in place, there is no need for fear. So the stress comes from fear, and removal of the fear is key. And patients need to know that help is at hand. I know it is difficult during these times, but still they need to do that. The other stress comes from the fact that many people are homebound and we are not used to that. And because of that, the stress increases. The third thing is that the economic issues could be causing stress. So all of these different stresses need to be dealt with differently. And I think it is extremely important for people to actually go into meditation, pranayama at this time. It is very, very important. It alleviates stress to a large extent. Good sleep hygiene, that is also very important. Keeping yourself occupied. So as I said, there are different ways of removing the stress. The first and foremost in this pandemic is having the right knowledge, knowing the right thing to do and do it properly. And that is the best way of removing the mental stress, is what I feel.
Now, Dr. Sahu, people with diabetes are at a higher risk if they contract coronavirus. Is this true? And what are the kind of steps that they should take to reduce the risk?
Those people who are diabetic, they have equal risk like other people for development of coronavirus infection. So from the beginning, diabetic people should not get scared that they have higher risk of development of infection. But of course, if a diabetic person develops infection, then the morbidity and mortality is higher in comparison to those people who don't have diabetes or associate comorbid conditions. So if a diabetic person develops coronavirus infection, then they have more risk of pneumonia, they have more risk of cytokine storm, also they have more risk of death. And vis-a-vis to tell that if a diabetic person blood glucose is well controlled, they have almost equal risk like a normal person having not having diabetes. Both are almost equal risk. So if someone is diabetic, if blood glucose is well controlled, they should not get scared. They should not have any fear that they have increased risk of coronavirus infection.
All right. Now, Dr. Deshpande, if you could speak a little about the dangers of obesity, especially due to the fact that people who have diabetes are eating more, perhaps because they're home or they're exercising less.
Yes, it does compromise the immune system. A lot of diabetics are obese, and in general, obese people have worse outcomes if they do get the coronavirus. The problem is that in obesity, the fat cells are not sitting there quietly. The fat cells are actually quite toxic, and they are producing a lot of harmful chemicals which lower the immunity but increase the inflammatory status. That is to say that obese people have a constant low-grade inflammation within them, and if they do get the coronavirus, they have sometimes a 2 to 3 times the risk of actually going into an ICU and needing mechanical ventilation. It is that high, and today below the age of 60 years, 40 of mechanical ventilation is people who are less than 60 years are especially more prone, and they should be very, very careful. And that is the reason that people who are already obese or who are diabetic should be very careful, especially during these times, what they eat, how much they eat, and try to make sure that they don't put on even more weight so that the inflammation is reduced.
All right, let me also ask you, Dr. Sahu, at this point, the other big stress factor for people is, of course, those of us who are working or going out regularly, work schedules and offices. Once again, how are these people when they go home and visit elderly parents and elderly relatives? What are the kind of precautions and safeguards that they must take?
The first important thing is that when we think about going home, we divide those people into two groups. One is non-healthcare professionals, second group is healthcare professionals. And those non-healthcare professionals going to hospital, going to office, going to any places, those who are having, trying to go back home, trying to meet their elderly parents or elderly relatives, first one and utmost thing is always put mask, always put gloves, always put, if possible, put a face shield, and try to keep all your self belongings like your mobile phone, your watch, all those things should be kept away. And the biggest, if at all you are going to your relatives home, always go for a very short period of time, maintain a distance of at least 6 foot among yourselves. And the another important thing is try to spend as less time there, and once you finished your work, immediately come back. And for healthcare professionals, I would suggest don't try to go to your elderly parents or to your elderly relatives if you don't have any really having anything to go. And if at all you have certain really important thing for which you are bound to go to meet your elderly parents or relatives, again you take all sort of precautions what I have told for all healthcare, non-healthcare professionals. Try to keep all your belongings, your laptop, mobile, watch, everything in your separately. Don't try to take all those things, and try to sanitize every time all those things, and again try to wash your hands as frequently as possible and spend very minimal time with your relatives. That is the important thing.
All right, thank you so much for that, Doctor. Well, on that note, we're going to slip into a short break. Our panel of doctors will continue to discuss the issue on the other side. Stay with us.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.
Welcome back. You're watching Living with COVID, and we have a panel of doctors to take all the questions that one has on the issue. Now we're joined by Dr. Deshpande, and I'd like to begin by asking you, many women complain of PCOS. Is this condition more complicated to manage during the coronavirus? What are the precautions for that?
Well, the problems with PCOS, especially in these times, comes because of the obesity involved. Most PCOS patients are obese, and as I already said before, obese people are at risk of actually getting into an ICU and getting worse outcomes. So to that end, PCOS people have to be very careful and make sure that they do not get the coronavirus and take extra precaution. Having said that, there are other problems like menstrual problems, etc., might need attention. So they should not shirk away from actually getting attention. If possible, they should make use of teleconsultation services. In fact, all patients of diabetes, obesity, PCOS, all these people should, as much as possible, try to make use of teleconsultation services to keep in touch with their healthcare providers. It's very important that they stay in touch and the healthcare provider knows what is going on and can from time to time guide them as to what they should be doing. So yes, PCOS can be a challenge in these times, especially because it's a chronic problem and obesity is involved.
All right. Now, Dr. Sahu, I think because, you're both experts in managing diabetes, if I can come to you one by one, what advice would you share with people to be for effective management of chronic conditions like that? Any special do's and don'ts? What can one do at home? Dr. Sahu, if you could guide patients on the aspects of monitoring diabetes and also the medication.
Yeah. So for diabetic persons, regarding monitoring and medication point of view, first will come discuss monitoring. So type 2 diabetic patients, those who are on tablets, those people, they should check their blood glucose once in at least every 15 days. Their blood sugar should be well controlled. If their blood glucose is well controlled, nothing is going to happen. Again, for type 2 diabetic patients on insulin and type 1 diabetic patients, those two groups, those who are on multiple doses of insulin, they should check their blood glucose once in a week, at least once in a week, and each time they should test at least 6 blood glucose. Before breakfast, 2 hours after breakfast, before lunch, 2 hours after lunch, before dinner and 2 hours after dinner. If all 6 blood glucose are normal then we can say the blood glucose is well controlled and they have low risk of coronavirus infection or coronavirus related morbidity and mortality. And again, for type 1 diabetic patients, if at any point of time they have some sort of infection, fever, all those things, they should go for their urine ketone body testing. That will detect keto. If they are detecting ketone bodies, most probably they have to consult their physician or their family doctor as early as possible. Similarly, those who are having pregnancy with diabetes or gestational diabetes, those people should go for 6 blood glucose testing once in every 2 days or thrice 3 days and try to make the blood glucose as early as possible. And if any point of time you are seeing your blood glucose is increasing, you consult your doctor either telephonically or video call, or you go and meet your doctors in the hospital and take their opinion to make the blood glucose normal as early as possible. Regarding the medication, all diabetic medications should be continued without any hesitation. Again, those who are having blood pressure, of course, they have to continue their blood pressure medications. And if someone is using additional medications like medications for heart disease, medications for cholesterol, all those medications, chronic medications, they should continue along with their diabetic medications.
All right. Now, Dr. Deshpande, anything you'd like to add here, especially on the role of diet and exercise for effective management of diabetes?
Yes, it is very important, especially during these times, because we are all in varying degrees of compulsory lockdown or self-imposed lockdown, and that completely changes your schedule and the way that it has been managed in the past. So all of these things are very, very important. So to that end, one must realize that the diet has to be tweaked in such a manner that the sugars are not going high. What we do at our center is we often have a video con call with the patient and with the nutritionist and myself, and we try to tweak the diet to suit the blood sugars and make them all right. Having said that, being at home is a big temptation to eat. So portion control is very, very important, and the right kind of food is important. A lower carbohydrate diet is again very important. So all these issues have to be taken care of when we are designing a diet for diabetes, and especially in these times it is especially very, very important.
All right, I think that's a very crucial advice. Any last words that you'd like to share with our viewers? Dr. Deshpande, first to you.
Well, what I would like to share with the viewers is that do not ignore your chronic diseases, especially like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. All of these diseases should not be ignored just because there is the coronavirus. You must keep in touch with your service provider. You must do what you can at home. Check your blood pressure at home, check your glucose at home, eat right, and meet your doctor at least online and make sure that everything is okay. So that's the most important thing. Again, I repeat my tagline: do not be scared of the coronavirus, but be fully aware and take all the precautions that you can so that you stay well.
All right. And Dr. Sahu, any advice that you'd like to add?
Yeah. Again, I can tell all my patients, take your blood glucose medicine regularly, check your blood pressure in due time, try to make your blood glucose normal, try to make your blood pressure normal. If you have any other chronic diseases, continue all those medications, have a good food, have a regular exercise, and the most important thing, my tagline is that stay positive, and staying positive is good for health.
All right. And Dr. Deshpande, so I think that's a very interesting point there, being positive in a time like this. Very quickly, if I can just come back to you, Dr. Deshpande, because stress is, it's a very stressful time. Staying positive and the mental aspects of it is also very important. If you could just, if you'd like to reiterate to our viewers once again how important it is to be winning the mental battle, so to speak, at this time.
It is extremely important to be winning the mental battle because the coronavirus has imposed huge stresses on us in different ways. We have to reinvent ourselves and make sure that when we come out of the corona crisis, we are still mentally stable, we are sane, and we are still positive and are able to lead our lives well. So to that end, we have to make sure that we meditate and we think positively and read well and come out trumps out of all of this in a very, very positive manner. So mental hygiene and mental health is as important as staying away from the coronavirus.
All right, I think that's very, very crucial advice that you've given to our viewers to focus on your mental health and, of course, your physical health. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
Knowledge Partner, USV, your reliable healthcare partner.